Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to this episode of the EAW podcast. I am Showster 26, and wow, this weekend we had a great event. The first interbrand FPV of the season. We had our Teerritorial invasion event. This is always a big event, and I think this year probably one of my favorite Teerritorial invasions. And you know what? I just have to talk about it with somebody, and I'm really happy with the guest who is with me to talk about it. He took part of the event both as Carlos Rosso and April Song. Everybody, welcome my guest, Carlos.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invite. Just hoping that everything on the internet level thing stays alright, but it's good to be here.
That's good. Before we get into it, I just wanted to give everybody kind of like a heads up. You know, Carlos was saying that, you know, with this whole storm that's going through, there's, you know, a lot of people who are out there who have totally lost their lives. So if you guys could go out there, you know, I know we all don't have a whole lot to give, but every little bit helps, especially for people who are as needy as they are. So, you know, if you guys could maybe donate to the Red Cross or to another organization to help these people who are who basically lost their lives, you know, please do so. Every little bit helps. You know, you would have my thanks. You would have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I cut in for a second?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Because I know a lot of people like are kind of paranoid about donating to the Red Cross and like to United Way and other like big Caribbean organizations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would like something more local and like more specific, where you can literally see where and what neighborhood everything is going to, somebody linked me to a different charity organizations, and I'm gonna try to pass that link along to people.
Okay, so everybody kind of keep an eye out for that link on the forums when you see it. Alright, so, talking today, first off, wow, getting our conversation onto something a little bit lighter. Again, I wanted to talk about Teerritorial Invasion. This was a fun show, wouldn't you agree?
It was probably one of the better and I've been around off and on since 2008. It was really, really good. Probably the best one. The writing was great. There was one squash match. We'll get to that, but
yeah.
Every match that I saw was well written, well paced, and for the most part, the right people I think won.
Okay.
So.
Well, definitely. I mean, I was personally pulling for Team Carlos. Not gonna lie.
I mean, that was a fun. We'll talk about that a little bit more too. But that was fun, and how it ended, it was hilarious.
Yeah, and I gotta say, you did some awesome work, not just in that match, but also in the 5-on-5, which we'll talk to later. But the first, we got to open with how the show opened, and that was with our Answers World Championship match. It was the Pizza Boy versus Eclipse Demos. Eclipse. Didn't say Eclipsey this time. Got your back. Yeah. So we have this match now. It's for opening matches, I think it was pretty good. I'm usually not the kind who likes to see a false, you know, or not a false, but like a Broadway finish, a draw, if you will, on an opening match, because that kind of like usually deflates the room. But I think they did enough to where they pulled it off, and then they did the post-match beatdown with Demos putting Pizza Boy through that table and, you know, kind of like snatching the belt away from the ref before he hands it off to PB. Great little matchup between the styles. What were your thoughts, Carlos?
Actually, really enjoyed the match. I was stunned when I saw I was going up first. Because I know somebody has to open the show, but I thought that match would have probably been further. I thought it would have been like the second to last match, or maybe like something a little bit further. I didn't think it was going to be the thing that opened up the whole show, the WWE curtain jerking world champion position. It was weird.
Well, it certainly was weird. I mean, you could have argued that maybe they could have put the Stark top squash match to run first and really start off with a big bang like that way.
Break.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed the piss break match somewhere, so I don't mind that not going on first. But and I was okay with the result because it continues, you know, ridiculous. I don't think this is going to be, obviously not going to be the last time those two were in the title match. It's okay to me. I mean, nobody lost any momentum. Everything just worked out fine.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely did. It definitely kept both characters. I felt that it found a way to keep both characters strong, keep both of their gimmicks looking good, and just kind of building for something that's going to be even bigger than this. Personally, I can't wait to see another match between these two, and I'm hoping it's a one-on-one match. Personally,
wouldn't be surprised if somebody else got added, but for now, I think that's where they need to go. That should be for like the next
FEUD. Let's see. Moving. Yeah.
Were we talking about the greatest segment in EAW history next?
Oh yeah, we're definitely. But before we talk about that, anything else you want to add to this Pizza Boy Eclipse match? Any last comments or words about that before we move on?
Just think that, you know, I've been fed in with Boy.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. Yeah.
Did you lose me again?
Yeah. But you're back.
But I was just gonna say I've known them both for a while now, and both of them are doing the jobs in their position. And the match itself, I don't know who wrote it, but it came out really, really well, especially at the end, the beat down, because poor Pizza Boy, he's just like punishment from people much bigger than him, and it's just kind of funny to see that just continued.
Yeah. Again, shout out to whoever wrote it. Awesome job, man. Or girl. Or gal. Okay, so moving on from that match, we have the segment that I'm pretty sure everybody walked away from night one talking about.
Greatest segment of all time.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yeah, for those who didn't read it, which, by the way, why haven't you read it? Go now, read it, put this on pause, read it, or at least, you know, listen to this while you're reading it, maybe even. And we have Chris Elite showing up unexpected while he's suspended, and kind of hijacking the show, calling out Mr. DDD, and who eventually comes down to the ramp, security guards, and they just get into this wild, piercing... Well, it's not a wild brawl, but it was a brawl nonetheless. A bunch of security taking bumps, DDD catching a box office smash to the jaw, and then the real shocker, the real twist, Kenny Drake coming out and firing Chris Elite in character. Considering how I figured that this would kind of lead up to the match, I'm kind of thrown for that left hook. I didn't see it coming. What are your thoughts on this segment, Carlos?
Loved it. I was actually in the chat when they had it, and I was laughing and cheering for Chris Elite to get his hands on DDD for reasons we still have not measured for. It's just like he has completely lost it. He's gotten to the point. It's almost like Brian Pillman without the drugs. He might show up on ECW somewhere at some point, but it was a good segment. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if I know who wrote it, but I'm not going to mention names. I know who wrote it, but if DDD, has kind of put his body behind this to try to help with the story, props to him, because this was really, really fun, and I hope somewhere eventually it leads to a match. It's got to at this point, especially after that attack.
Yeah, I would say it would too, until they did the whole firing thing. What's really getting me about this whole storyline is that it seems like there's, I mentioned this last week, but it seems like there's something going on more with Kenny Drake. Like he's the one kind of pulling some strings somewhere, or he's the one kind of like Lokiing the whole damn thing, if you get what I'm saying. Like he's manipulating certain things to get this conflict, and why I don't know. That's how it's coming off to me. What are your thoughts on that?
To me, it looks like the warden that's losing control of jail, because I mean you've got Chris with all his stuff. You've got world championship match between an about to be an estranged couple. I mean you got Carlos doing whatever the fuck he's doing, and you have this mess, which ain't Kenny Drake's boss. So that just makes it look even worse for him. So, I mean, I don't think he's being manipulative. I think he's just like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Well, I just always tend to notice it's him always kind of popping up in the segments. Like it was him leaving a voicemail that Chris heard, and then it was him, saying that he was sent out on DDD's orders, but we all know that Drake is not exactly the guy who's always on the up and up. Yeah, he's the one who suspends Chris, and then it's even him who fires Chris after the whole thing. DDD says nothing. He doesn't say, you're fired, you're out of here, or yes or no or anything. It's just Kenny Drake, cutting Chris Elite. To me, it just seems like something's there. Like there's that, like, we obviously have DDD and Elite in the foreground, but it's always him. Yeah. It's always Kenny in the background.
Dude, I think it's going to play itself out in the next couple of weeks a little bit more, but I think be shocked if this was the last we saw of Chris Elite. Like I was telling people in the chat, you can't delete
Chris Elite. Oh, well.
Again, that was a fun segment. It was very well written. Well written. Sorry.
Definitely. This whole show was very well written, like we said at the beginning. Shifting gears from there, we have, of course, the 4-on-4 Iron Man match, which you took place on, leading your team, Team Carlos, against Team Keelan. You know what? You guys had whoever wrote the segment the week before on Voltage, awesome. Whoever wrote this match, awesome job as well. Felt the match was very well paced. Sometimes we get into it where it kind of drags a little bit, or it sticks on one guy for a little too long, or it shifts focus too fast. This had a pretty good pace to it. Maybe not quite as much as, say, the segment on Voltage, but almost the same mix of balance, that right balance. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the match?
I really liked the team dynamics that played out on this, because you have one team that was built by a complete asshole that's filled with assholes, and it eventually plays into their demise. And then on the other side, you have a group of guys that are like as different as could possibly be, enough to beat what on paper should have been a much more dominant team, but it wasn't, because they didn't work as a team. So.
Yeah, when you have guys like, I can't even begin. It's like, just from the size advantage, the supposed size advantage, it looked like it was this really big underdog story. But again, teamwork kind of saved the day for Team Keelan, or the lack of teamwork, to be more specific. What do you, as far as who scored the final fall, do you feel that it was the right guy to go with for this mystery opportunity, Lars Greer? Do you think that he's the guy who overall should be getting this whatever it's going to be? Again, we don't know what it is yet, but that he's the guy who should kind of be shined and spotlighted in this match when you compare him against everybody else.
He deserved that at the moment. I'm pretty sure his thing with Apocalypse isn't over, but I've always thought Lars has done best to work, and especially now, since after the draft and everything, just keeps kicking it up another level.
Okay.
And I really think that he's going to do big things. Plus, I mean, if you look at some of the people who are a little bit more active a week, Moongoose is new breed champion. He doesn't really need anything. I don't think Keelan and Carlos are going to be finished yet. And I'm missing. I think Cody was active, but I think he's going to have some other stuff on too. I think him and El Alanico. It's the weirdest luchador name I've ever heard.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's one of the weirder gimmicks. It's British El Generico, kind of, almost. In a way.
I wanted to kind of snap on one of the promos, but he kept, mispronouncing them. I was like, don't do that, you stupid. I really enjoy El and Monaco, but I think those two are going to keep going. I think Apocalypse is, just going to still linger as the. But I have no problem with who won. How Carlos just sucker punched Moongoose at all.
McQueen. We kind of came to that understanding. Just call him McQueen.
I can't. And calling McQueen, because when I think of McQueen, I think of Lightning McQueen, and I'm scared that I'm gonna as I'm talking about him, just call him Lightning for no reason.
Knowing him, he'll make that his next gimmick.
Yes, I've known him for a while. He probably would. But I enjoyed that match. It was fun. The whole promo was fun. But it's probably been one of the favorite things that I've done as Carlos for a while. So. Okay.
And it was a great match for most everybody involved. I really liked, again, how everybody got some moments to shine. I think it's just so awesome that I can't really process it correctly. Maybe in a few weeks or a month down the line, or maybe after I see how everything plays out, I could kind of pick it apart. But for the moment, I'm just totally stoked on how this whole thing went.
I'm sorry, but for a match just of a whole bunch of mid-card feuds slapped together.
It
had himself on the back for that.
Yeah, whoever wrote it, good job. Let's see. Moving on from there, we're gonna talk about the rematch, the sequel, yes, Nazar Moore, CM Banks, round 2. Thoughts on this match? Were you surprised to kind of hear that they were gonna rematch again? That instead of that they now went from a stipulation match like Fire and Steel down to just a standard match. Thoughts on maybe the feud as a whole and then the match itself? Okay,
the feuding has been good. Both of them are very, talented writers and everything, so that worked out fine. I do, like you pointed out, I do think it's kind of weird that they kind of went in reverse and they put the stipulation match first.
And again, I get that it was Dia del Diablo, but in terms, if you were going to rematch them, why did you start with the more extreme match versus something, you know, like this? But I guess if they did do something that extreme on this show, what would happen later would look really, really out of proportion, really, really bad. Go ahead.
But I think it was just it was a good, clean, fun match, and I think the right person won. That's not a slight to Banks, but I think, you know, they needed to win a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm happy. Go ahead.
To get a win like that against, you know, probably one of the most important people in the history of the EAW, that's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah, definitely is. I'm happy for Naz. I've known him for the past, I've kind of been friends with him, or as friendly as I get with people around here. I'm surprised that he didn't get more towards the end of last season. I thought he was going to get something big here, but it seems like they're really trying to make up for it now. Like, they're really trying to get behind him here on Dynasty and make him a big thing, and that was very evident in this show. Banks is a legend, unquestioned. But to be honest, I kind of want to see him more in the week to week. Like, I think that he could really help, get some people a little bit more over if he was here, a little bit more. I think, just in terms of things like, maybe Stark versus Banks might do for him what, Jacob Sin did for Darkane. Not that I'm saying that, not that I'm saying it needs to be Stark or anyone in particular, but I'm just saying in the hypothetical.
If he does come back full time, I think that would be great. But also, I think it's also just as fine if he keeps it's because, if it's something like, I hate to use Brock Lesnar as an example, but Brock Lesnar, I mean, if he's there, even just every once in a while, it gives a little extra added gravitas to whatever's going on,
Mm-hmm.
So, again, Nas is gonna do something big pretty soon, I think. Only a matter of time.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like it. And like I said, I'm pretty excited to see what happens with him, especially after this night. Going on, we have the National Elite Championship, and congratulations to the Prince of Phenomenal. How many? I'm not sure how long it's been, but getting back to the National Elite Championship, doing it pretty early in the season, all things considered. Congratulations to him, but I'm gonna say Stark. You can't. I'm disappointed, and I don't say this to put him down. I say it because man, I was rooting for Stark. I was hoping that he would come out, because this is a big show. This is a big event. I was hoping he would have come out and put up an effort, put up a few promos, at least one. So I'm slightly disappointed in him. I get that we all get real life and things come up. I just wish that it wouldn't have cost him the National Elite Championship. Thoughts, Carlos?
Oh, sorry, but I was a little more, not disappointed, but actually more concerned, because it's not every day that somebody EAW just doesn't do anything for a title match. Maybe he just didn't have the title anymore. Maybe he had different stuff going on. I don't know, but
yeah, and
POP back in the winner's circle.
Mm-hmm. And like
Tuesday, gotta love it.
And again, to clarify, I don't mean to put anybody down. I'm just I'm just kind of in shock. And I understand that, again, real life always comes first. I've always said it. I've always believed it. And And I've always, you know, whenever anything comes up, you know, you gotta put the real stuff first. You gotta put what's happening in the real world first. That being said, slightly disappointed, not gonna lie. And that's just because I want to be a straight shooter with everybody. Going forward now in the national elite scene, we also have that elimination chamber match. Where do you think that it was? I know that your hand was kind of forced, but do you think it was the right move to do the title change? Do you think that they maybe should have did like maybe a maybe a DQ finish or a dust or some other form of dusty finish?
Nope. I am perfectly fine with the change.
Okay.
Like if somebody puts in effort and the other person doesn't, that person should lose, and the person putting the effort should win. I'm not a big fan of just like booking stuff for the sake of booking. So if somebody does what they're supposed to do, give them the benefits.
Okay. Very, you know, and you do have a very good point there. You know, Pop put in the effort, and he should be justly rewarded.
And like I say that, you know, because I'm not going to mention specific examples because I have enough heat in EAW.
Oh, come on, I still love you.
Yeah. But like there have been times where like when I was writing for EAW at times or elsewhere where you put your trust in somebody to do something and didn't do it, and you have to change direction. And I have been in situations where people have done with me, and I didn't do it, so I lose out. It's just how it works.
Okay, very true, very true. Moving on from this match, we have the 5-on-5 for the elimination tag match from Empire, Team Area, Team Kalen, and the big news, Brody.
The glorious return.
Glorious. Brody Sparks back with us officially in EAW.
Go ahead.
Before we talk about the match itself, are you feeling bad for Sophia Rose? Because she gets thrown off the match, and Brody gets in. Thoughts on that situation?
I actually don't mind it because the way this pretty much protected Sophia from this loss, elimination. Because I don't know what was going on with up there, or maybe this was planned. I don't know. Once Brody got penciled in and take this spot, I think it worked out better. I think it worked out. I don't. Conflicted because
I'm sorry. Could you repeat yourself on that one?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Am I back?
Yep.
But I was just like, I think it saved Sophia a little blemish.
Okay.
But with me, if you bring back Brody, I think she should have been the sole survivor. Somehow, some retarded finish fight. Even for somebody like Promo, I think it would have been better if either she had been the sole survivor or her team found a way to win with her being prominent. I think that would have been better. That's just my personal opinion. The way the match played out, the best promo of the week won. So, there's a spot. I'm looking for it. Hey, I think Consuela did the Toriano spot. Where he gets between the ropes and it's like, break! But she's screaming in Spanish.
I think I remember something about Consuela being in the ropes. I don't remember it that well.
Because I had the FPV open.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw that, and it's like, I'm not gonna butcher the Spanish, but yeah, That was funny. Because I heard the spot was coming, but I didn't expect it right then. But then we got it, and I just kind of I laughed.
Besides Area, our winner for the night, anybody you would single out as an MVP for this match? On either side, it could be.
I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus or anything, but I'm not gonna give you an MVP, but I'm gonna give you a name we want to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
That's Alexis.
Alexis? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody read the work that she did. She only posted one thing for the show, one promo, but it was good. And like, only thing is keeping her. And I mean, a lot of people can make the argument that if she keeps that kind of quality and is consistent.
Your mic?
Am I still there?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, but like, you caught me saying that Alexis Demos could be future world champion, right?
Almost. I think that's what we could have inferred. Yeah.
Azumi did, I think, really good this week with her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kaylin's normal self, on point. Like, I think she kind of had some stuff going on towards the end of the week, but like at the beginning of the week, she was on fire. Consuelo was on fire. I did stuff.
Yep, you were a part of this matchup as well.
I was kind of surprised that like Brody took April out clean, but at the same time, not really surprised, but actually like, okay, that makes April look a little bit more vulnerable, but that kind of plays into how quick and surprising the title run was from the beginning, because of how, like, I'm trying to think of a good example for this. Somebody wins a title when you don't expect it, but they don't suddenly become made of iron and turn back every challenger and stuff. They still have flaws and they still lose.
That might be, say, someone like Seth Rollins is the most recent kind of, sort of, in a way, that comes to my mind.
I'm trying to think of a face and not think of Rey Mysterio.
Oh.
But like, Ace where that applies. It's kind of weird because in WWE it's not that way. And New Japan, the two promotions I watch the most, New Japan usually protects their champions pretty well.
Okay.
Invincible warriors made of iron.
Yeah.
Belt.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Definitely, it does showcase more stuff about the about how quickly everything could change in the championship scene. Just out of curiosity, now that Brody is back, how do you see that affecting either the women's title or the specialist title, landscape?
I think the women's title scene is going to be the same as it for a while. Like, Aria is fighting off everyone, and now you have Kaylin. Mm-hmm. Looks like she's positioned to be the next challenger.
Mm-hmm.
But Brody coming back pretty much throws the entire specialist scene into chaos. And it's wonderful, because now you have April, Consuela, Sophia,
and Brody.
Stephanie, Brody, and maybe Azumi. Don't know if people are, some people think she's ready, some people, well, they're blue in the face and she's not, but Azumi belongs in that population too.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of her. Any last comments before we shift over to the main event of the first night?
Good match. I think the right person, if you're going to have a sole survivor, like in that sense, one, but I would have liked to see another finish if you're going to bring Brody back and have her actually team. Now, if she had come back, run interference and got somebody like April eliminated or something like that, I would have liked that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think maybe you could have gone with the other team somehow if you're going to have her participate.
Mm-hmm.
Pick, like, as far as picking the one person to win.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on.
God, this match was bloody.
Yeah, this was, the build to this match was odd for me personally. The build always kind of, like Jamie, to me, didn't look quite as strong as he should as the champion. He had 4 minutes where he was like totally like untouched and was just like able to dodge everything that Cameron threw at him, but then like he gets low blowed and he's down from one shot. Granted, it's a shot that should take you down, but so the whole build for me was awkward. And then they do the match, which I'm not sure if I would have closed with this. I think I might have won. If I was going to do a world title match, if to open, I think I might have opened with this one and then saved the Demos PB match for the main event.
I respectfully disagree with you for the only reason that I would not want. Like, I understand that it's all supposed to be one day in kayfabe.
Mm-hmm.
To have a double count out close off that portion of the show.
With the beatdown,
I don't know.
I don't think. Well, you could argue that it wasn't the right way to open the show. If you could, make it as an opener, the double count out, and then the beatdown, which really signifies that they're not done yet. I think that's an okay way to close the show.
I think you could have closed with that, but I just don't like the feeling of a double count out / beatdown closing off like a half of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I understand what you're saying. This match, oh my god, there were like at least 4 or 5 times where I was convinced that Cam was very, very well written and for the most part believable. The blood necessarily was believable in some cases. I think one of these people would have bled out to assistance, but it was written very well.
I think the match itself is fine. But again, considering everything before it, I seem to enjoy it a little bit better. Going forward now, we have, I wonder, what is your take on what you think would happen with Jamie and Cameron as far as them being a couple? Do you see this being kind of like their break-off point? Do you see this, do you think that...
No. I've heard about this, and even if you looked at the promos and stuff, not just on the show but on the page during the week, it was almost like nothing was personal. They were all fine. Got put into play, and shit just kicked off. And I mean, I think you could see it, and now I think it's kind of wide open. Like the main event's on Voltage, it's wide open now because there's so many different people that he could have programs with now that he's got this. And I wouldn't count Cam out of winning that world title just yet. But challenge, I'm sorry, I don't think she's going to challenge again anytime soon. But I do think that she's going to be a mainstay in the main events, with or without Jamie. as a couple. I don't know.
Okay. So thus far, this has been the first night. I gotta say, I really liked the pacing. I liked how everything was plotted out. It didn't feel like it was too much, too soon. I didn't get burnt out reading this, as I tend to when I read some of our more gruesome FPVs. But this had a nice flow to it as far as what went on and how much it did each, in each match.
I think having wasn't maybe not necessarily super technical, but like a more clean, hard fight. I don't want to say strong style, but more like a traditional WWE style with Nas and Banks. I think that kind of helped because you got a breather from just like the outright brutality of the other matches.
So between that and the quick match with Pop, you had enough to kind of settle you back in for a 5-on-5, which wasn't really overbooked, but had the big return, and then you build up to Jamie and Cam having this all-out bloody. It looked like maybe looked like a Friday the 13th part 12 or whatever the hell they're on now.
It was a brutal match, and to say that some of the offense that Jamie ate and he did not lose. It's gonna take who's his next challenger?
TLA.
Oh, LA. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
I think, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that kind of settles us for the first night. I'm gonna give this first night itself. I'm gonna give that about a 9, almost a 9.5 out of 10. What were you saying?
I give it a full 10.
Okay.
I think everybody who won should have won.
Okay.
Except for the little caveat I gave to the 5-on-5. Everything was written well. Nothing was like, oh my god, this shit is horrible. So, I think, good job. 10 out of 10. Probably one of the more fun days I've had on chat, even though I ate 2 pins.
Yeah. well, technically, on the record book, you are at 500 for this one. You're 1 for 2 officially in the record books. Yeah, I learned to take what I could get any way I can, and I recommend it to everybody in the Fed. Moving on to the next day. We open the show with Divide and Conquer, Team Star Stan.
Divide and Conquer.
Yeah, Team Star Stan versus Team Monroe.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I was actually kind of rooting for Nico to win. No disrespect to anybody else, and I like Nas and Tyler. I have a lot of respect for him too. But I was kind of pulling for Nico. Anybody but Oasis, though. Oasis as
Scott, don't take his put downs on me. He's just a guest. don't bury me for it. Let's see. This was an interesting match. I kind of had people I liked on both sides, but to me it seemed all very obvious that Team Star Stan was going to win because they had that stipulation where as long as Monroe was GM, Naz couldn't challenge for the title.
And that opens up a door for him.
I think it also could have been just as interesting to see Naz getting his win back and Monroe staying in power. I think that creates an interesting dynamic. Like, okay, well now I won this match. What is your excuse now? And then moving on from there. But nevertheless, we had a pretty good set of, a pretty good mix of the guys getting in there. Each one felt like its own little match. Some might like that, some might not, but definitely.
I'm actually somebody that likes it like that, where you have maybe these little matches within matches. I think the women's match turned into almost like a more of a it was by design too. It was almost like a more, you know how they have those lucha tag rule matches and stuff,
like the Captain Falls, like
yeah, like the, you know, it was just kind of weird, the pacing of it.
Mm-hmm.
This, I like these things where you have like the match within a match.
Mm-hmm. I was a fan of this. I liked the match. I liked it, a lot of the interactions that a lot of the guys had. You had, you know, Jacobson and Darkane getting back, you know, having another round. You had, excuse me, you had Scott Oasis kind of doing his thing and just waylaying everybody. Nico being the last man left on his team, trying to score the win, but unfortunately not able to. One thing I will say, I think that they kind of made Naz a little, just a touch too strong. You know, like he did everything with Banks, and then he basically takes everybody's finish or everybody's big moves, and then.
Or did Kenny Omega?
Huh?
You fed Kenny Omega. Still people's finishers. I'm surprised he didn't call. I'm surprised he didn't call that finishing move he put on Tyler the V trigger.
I was just, you know, like I said, I'm a Naz fan. I love that he's getting a big push. I just think like it was a little too much. It was like kind of Cena-ish, you know, just a little too much.
But here's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No,
but I'm actually okay with it to an extent. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would have gone as far as having him submit Tyler. Mm-hmm. Or him picking up the win. I'm actually okay with it.
Again, I don't.
He had like such a stretch where he to me was underused.
Mm-hmm.
Got the 2 wins that he picked up on the same FPV.
Against who he picked them up against is testament enough. I mean, this was.
I don't know if I can think of somebody who's had a better 2 wins on one show. I mean, you know, people have like all these amazing wins. Of course, like somebody having 2 matches. I don't know if I've ever seen someone got wins this good.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Definitely a great night for Naz. I'm happy for him. You know, I love his work. I guess I didn't like that he took so much. You know, because it makes others.
We brought this up in the chat, like right towards the end. You know, after Tyler and him are like the last 2 guys. Nico had just been eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler's just trying to tell him to stay down, basically.
Uh-huh.
And Nas like has like the little Naruto like come back. I'm so far, and I've achieved so much. It's not gonna end here.
Okay.
I laughed when I saw that because it was like very anime-ish, and I know a lot. I think both of them are pretty big anime fans. So I just kind of laughed at that because it just felt like some screaming of an anime. It's a good match, and I feel bad for Nico, but I was also happy that Knox won.
And welcome back, Tyler, as well. You know, yes,
one of the best.
Yeah. Shifting gears again, we're leaving the whole. And by the way, in case you didn't catch it, apparently Naz is now the #1 contender. So yeah, big ups for Naz. Hoping you do good when you get that belt, man. Be rooting for you. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Openweight Championship. The
guy. My favorite title when it was announced, mm-hmm. and like they came up with all these like rules for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get past the rules and just make it down to basics, how it works, you know, with each of the brands getting a shot at it, I really think it's a chance for somebody. Brian Marks is done with it right now, because I think he's 1 win away from
Yeah, if he
the World Title Challenge.
Yeah, well, if he beats the Empire representative, he then has the opportunity to either exchange the belt for a shot at a World Championship match, or he could decide to retain the belt, defend it again, and if he's successful, again the opportunity is there if he retains. But if he doesn't, no. What I really like about this title is that it's the competitor's title. It's it's for people who really want to win. I hope I get a shot at it again. But so far,
Ryan,
go ahead.
The good winning champion, inaugural champion. I don't know why I said opening. But I really think he's been a good champion. I also like the little dynamic, like. Each brand he goes to, he just runs into another fucking member of the Senatorium.
Which I don't think that was designed. I don't think that was designed. It just happened. Like maybe I think John was penciled in, and then like nobody informed Showdown that he was gonna be in the fold. I think that's what happened, to be honest. Because there's no mention of us in the build. But. Again, I've worked with both guys. Both guys are amazing as far, and they could be workhorses whenever they want to be. Marks especially, no joke, when I worked against him, I basically saw him as like Ivan Drago. He's like this big motherfucker, and and in his promos, he'll just fucking hit you with a 2,100 pound per square inch punch every single day. Another retention here from Marks. Again, low key defeating the Sanatorium members one at a time. Thoughts on the match itself? The whole how the interference kind of like it doesn't happen, but it sort of backfires in a way. Thoughts?
Dude, I do like this match, and like you said, both of these are very talented people. Wonder what's gonna happen next, because now, as you said, it goes to Empire, and on Earth. In a second, I just have a thought, but I'm gonna keep it to myself because I know if I mention it, Eclipse is gonna be screaming at me in the DMs about it. Like, why did you even mention the name? But I'll just put it this way: there's a lot of people who are used to going against Guy that shot at that title that are still in Empire. Like that.
Go ahead.
It was a good match. The interference thing was kind of weird, like where it was going to happen, but then it didn't happen. And I just like the idea of him going up against the Sanatorium. Either, I don't know if they realized it at the time, like you said, when they made the program for the match, but seeing it happen the way it happened, and all with him going to Empire where there's still Sanatorium members in wait if they can get the shot, fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, personally, a few things I'll say here. First off, I'll say I really like the way they made McAdams look. They made him look credible, like he could have won. So that's a good thing there.
Yeah, he certainly didn't deserve to get look soft.
Yeah. Personally, I would, since you had me and Amadeus out there, I figured it could have been like, one distracting, one running interference. Like, I figured you could have did a little bit of that, something like that, since we're both out there. We're just kind of there for, like, hey, he is part of Sanatorium. Oh, yeah. Going on from there, first off, props to both guys. You both...
I didn't mean to cut you off, but Amadeus, not on the card.
Yeah, well, a lot of us weren't on the card. I mean, technically, Chris Elite was not on the card. He didn't have a match. He had an unannounced segment.
At the greatest segment of all time.
Yes,
forget it.
Yes. I wasn't on the card in either of my characters. Sheridan Miller was not on the card. Amadeus not on the card. There's a lot of people, and I think it's really more of a testament to how of the better, I don't mean to say better, but like it's a testament to the level of talent that was on the card, that that guys who are really damn good were not on there. Because I think if you stick me, Ani, Chris Elite, and Sheridan anywhere on that card, we could have just had a 4-way match or a tag match even, and that could have been another good one even. But I think it really just speaks to the level of talent that was actually in the matches.
I just wanted to say, I don't know exactly what's going to be happening with the Interwire title at Amadeus, but there is a shit ton of people, on the brand Voltage that can challenge you for it right now. I mean, it's just wide open. I mean, I think both title races, even though you have, contenders in place, I'm not sure about the Interwire title, but, we do have a new number one wide open. It's wide open versus the EAW. It's like, it's not that people are bad, just that there is so much depth, Crazy.
Yeah, definitely. When the season started, I very much thought that it was a really wide open brand as far as Voltage goes. That anybody was just, they didn't have a whole lot of established guys in the top. Yeah, TLA, you had Jamie. You coming back certainly kind of shored up, some of the, some of that upper card scene, but really it is a open wide, at least thus far in the season, it really is a pretty open wide brand, and anybody could be called up to move on in from the middle to the upper card or anywhere around. Certainly Chris Elite looks like he's being moved up into the upper card, and that's going to free up a position for somebody else. Maybe Harvey York, maybe Ironico, maybe, there's a lot of people.
Still have McQueen. I'm going to try using McQueen instead of Mongoose. He's still there with the New Breed title for
yes, he is. And he's also there. Yeah.
So a lot of depth.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be a part of Voltage. If you're not there, try and get on there, guys. Just don't ask Brian.
No.
But overall, the match with Marks and McAdams, good match. I am kind of hoping that somebody from the Coven will get a shot, and we could kind of like either tie up the whole sanatorium thing with Marks there. Either he could go through us all there, and we could maybe fuck him over later, or we could fuck him over there. It's up to the writers.
and just to cover all the bases on there's potential challenger there. Good choice to me if they decide not to go with the whole Sanatorium trilogy, or Stephanie Matsuda Cloud. I think that would be kind of fun because those styles are so different. You have one guy who brings out a sledgehammer every time he fucking promo, another person makes a sharp, so many holes in you that you get irritated. I promoed against Cloud. It's draining sometimes and annoying. You legit get pestered.
Are you still with us, Carlos?
I don't know if I'm Mike.
Okay. Sorry for everybody for the technical issues. Forgive us, but we're just kind of this is a really good conversation. So instead of cutting every 20 seconds, I'm kind of keeping it rolling. Go ahead.
Did you hear the kind of analogy I use for promo against Cloud? The little.
It's both annoying and.
It's you get somebody with a sharp knife just poking, or going against them. It's fun, but it can character legit piss you off.
Okay, so moving on from that whole situation, we're gonna talk now about the Extreme the Hardcore Rules tag team match. Rex McAllister, John Doe versus Dub and HBG. This was a pretty damn exciting one. Can't lie, it was a pretty all over the place. There was so much action I could barely recap it. It's, you had the spots with all the chairs, you had the ladder, you had the gushing blood.
It's basically like a TNA X Division match and ECW had a baby. That's what this match turned into. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have no problem with it. One,
never bet against Brian.
never. Been ordained to carry the banner. So, like, this is a hell of a win for, like, the John Doe character.
Mm-hmm.
And Rex. This is a big win for him.
Mm-hmm.
Over to two of the best people ever in EAW. Like, I've gone against Dub, I've gone against HBG, like, in various characters,
mm-hmm.
I think. And incredible. So, like, for them to pick up that win, it's a big deal. It establishes both characters as big.
Yes, and it really helps solidify Rex a little bit more. It could have been very easy to just kind of discard him after the whole thing with the where they cost him the championship match against Tiberius. They could have very easily have done away with him from that whole picture. But this is a good way to keep him far enough away from it for the moment, and then reintroduce him now that both HBG and Dub, he's kind of finished up with that.
I just read, like, one of the great lines from the match. He's like, "I'm disgusted. Screw that doppelganger." He's talking about John Doe and the stupid firm.
So many great fourth wall breaks by Drake Yeager.
It's amazing.
The wall breakinator. I had a point, and then I was gonna.
I'm sorry, I just had to mention that because I'm rolling through the matches to pick up points as we talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like myself, but that was something else.
So many fourth wall breaks. Yeah, but basically, I think moving on now, you have an interesting kind of combo here. It'll really be. I'll really be interested to see like where they're gonna go next, because the obvious thing is after beating, arguably the two kind of like main event or upper mid card guards, it's now time to kind of get into the higher ranks of the card, the main event.
I'd like to see that team against the high rollers. I mean, they cut you off. I would like to see that. I think that would be fun. That
could be a definite possibility, but I don't see the immediate feud right there with the high rollers, especially since what happened in the main event.
But I think somewhere down in the future, that would be like a fun match. I'm just thinking hypothetically here. There's like no actually at the moment, but I just would like to see that. I would like to see that.
It doesn't sound like a bad idea. I just want to make sure that it's all there creatively before they just go ahead and do it. So, good win for Rex and John Doe. And Dub getting hurt. I don't know if this is officially like he's taking some time off or anything like that.
Well, soon, Dub. Like, I've had like a couple of those, injuries in kayfabe. I don't know if this was just something where he's coming back for a little while, smash and then leave, but if he does, have to take a break, that would suck. I do like having him, seen his stuff, and so hope he stays.
Well, it certainly looks like he's taking a little bit of time off. just because, you know, or for at least a week or two, because the way they were selling the shoulder injury. I will say that Showdown will kind of miss his presence, especially since you need. I would say you kind of need at least one more established guy in that whole situation, especially if you're going to bring up new talent, which it looks like Robbie definitely is. Moving on from that whole situation, we have the I Quit match. AREN versus TLA.
This is one of my favorite matches, like, on the show. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. What made it kind of one of your favorites of this show? What thoughts and opinions on how that whole match flowed and everything?
Just really like the fact that you have, about to finish in a second, but it's basically two guys. I won't say like AREN was descending, but they're going in different directions. You have one guy trying to figure out how to be champion, and you have another guy that has been champion, but he's trying to figure out if he can still get back. And I just like, and you know, they have history and everything. I just really felt like how they played and just, you know, really enjoyed this match.
As much as I love TLA, you know, both as a character and as a guy on the, you know, just the chat with on the, you know, on Discord, and as much as I'm happy to see him get the win and to go on to get that title shot, because I really do believe he's another guy who should have gotten a little bit more by the time Pain for Pride came around. The match felt kind of wonky. Like, it went too extreme, too early. Maybe this is just me being spoiled by watching one of the best, you know, one of the better I Quit matches, and that was The Rock versus Mankind at the Royal Rumble '99, like, all the time.
That's the one with the tape recording finish, right? Where they had, like, is that the one where they dubbed, like, Mick Foley saying, "I quit," and kick off the bell?
Yeah. But you know, that match... Huh? I couldn't hear what you said.
I said that was a damn good match.
And definitely one of the better I Quit matches. So when this goes the way it does, you know, instead of it being that slow build that I wanted to see, this kind of goes right a little too far out, you know, too early, and it doesn't feel like it builds quite right, you know. And then I'm a little off on the finish. You know, you have this thing where they're both up, and instead of one maybe taking the bump, it's, you know, basically AREN, you know, being asked, you know, AREN's hanging above the ring is like, you know, it's either quit or die.
Yeah. And I actually liked that they didn't do, like, I think it was who was it that fell off a Titantron? There's a couple of people, but I think it was Road Warrior Hawk and Shane fall off at one time, or there was something.
Shane fell off at quite a Titantron. Shane jumped off. Well, he one time he fell from it, and then another time or two he jumped from it, and then
I can't do a freaking swanton.
I know that Foley himself did something off of it, but I think he did it like from like the bottom lip of the Titantron on into like a dumpster or something like that.
But I do like that they inverted the drop. I thought that was fine because, you know, being like, somebody's about to die, but then like they stopped it, and you know, he just quit. It's like, you almost feel like for the characters, like nobody's actually gonna destroy it.
Okay.
The part that I didn't like, we'll probably talk about in a second, was AREN basically telling us he was leaving.
That is something I want to talk about. With AREN, do you think it was right the way they did it? I mean, having the kind of goodbye speech and then, and then kind of doing that, or would you think it would have been a little bit more appropriate to do kind of what they did with DUBIAN and have him kind of, having to take the time off or at least take the big bump before having to take the time off? And also,
I would have liked this a little more. Explain what I mean. I think it would have gone better to me if up there and AREN, hugged, shook TLA's hand or whatever, put the boots down, whatever kind of want, then left. I didn't want to see the whole. I don't want to say I lost my smile or something like that, but I didn't want to see that character have like the I don't have it at the moment.
Okay.
I think it would have been better if there was no verb in there, if it just happened and he left. I think that would have been much better. But I mean, it was a good moment. I'm kind of sad because like AREN and I and Nick Fidelity had like our big. He was the reason why I got to paint him in a Paint for Pride a couple years ago. So that was. It kind of sucks to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever happy to see any of our members leave. We kind of get, we get
a couple of people that I was happy to see go. I'm not gonna say names.
And we don't have to name names. I think a few of them already popped into everybody's head who's listening. But now that AREN has left, how do you think that this does affect the Voltage scene as opposed to how he would have stayed? Who do you think might kind of be pushed forward into his spot? Who do you think might have suffered if he didn't take it, or who do you think might have not suffered but like been kind of like stuttered or sidetracked?
Oh, because I think with AREN that this was going to happen at some point anyway, because I think he's been busy with school and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I get why he has to step back, but I don't think it hurts anybody specifically. The brand as a whole, if that makes sense. And it's just one less person you could shuffle around to give people credibility to. One less person that really, but I myself could have feuded with. Mm-hmm. It sucks to see him go, but I mean, Voltage would be fine. Voltage is deeper than a lot of people realize.
Especially when you consider, just some guys who are just waiting for an opportunity. I think there's money definitely in Apocalypse. You could always give Lars a shot and see if he shines against some of the other guys. You could definitely push Ani into more of having a double champion feud, even if it's a one-off. There's just so many guys who you could push in that Voltage upper card, middle to upper card.
Other note about all those people that you mentioned, mm-hmm. A lot of those people will say they need to be booked a certain way to get ready for that next step. Mm-hmm. But I think the vast majority of them, like Finnegan, Lars, after going against them too specifically, Keelan, I think all those guys are ready.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree, but I think all of those guys are ready. And we know who Apocalypse is, mm-hmm. Behind the keyboard, so whenever he get, I'd help you if you're on Voltage.
Oh, God. I'm just happy that he's on my side. I'm just happy for that much. So that's the situation from that match, the fallout from there. Moving on now, we have...
just wanted to say, whenever TLA and Jamie happens, it's going to be... probably going to be one of the better promo wars this year.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm kind of hoping that it happens in a few weeks, because we have that super show coming up for Voltage. But before we can get to that, we got to talk about the main event of the evening. The main event for
the big money match.
Yep.
For all the gold.
Yep. And bigger than the money belt, definitely.
That was a ridiculously expensive belt, from what I'm told. I don't know exactly how much it cost, but it looked pretty amazing.
I think it was just odd that you had to create a title to defend for yourself.
This was a very good match, and before we just talk about like some of the particulars of the match, I do want to say, High Rollers, you've acquitted yourselves well.
Yeah, they looked great here. Those guys, I've worked with them a time or two. They're very damn good promoters, and they look very, very. They look. I'm gonna say it. They're basically ready. On Showdown. I think the only thing, I'm really hoping. I can't wait to see the rematch between them and maybe Ken and Aries. Like that, I think would be an awesome tag match that you could even throw out as a main event.
Isn't it kind of weird now that Lannister and Aries are partners after all the horrible, despicable things they've done to other people and each other? They have become a cohesive unit. It's just weird.
Well, to me it feels kind of like what's a good thing? I guess maybe like the Main Event Mafia, or maybe even the NWO in a looser sense. Where it's just these upper card guys, wanting to take the power for themselves. Maybe even the two-man power trip, if you remember Austin and Triple H during that 2001 run.
This was a pretty good match, and I feel like better team won. It's just that, oh my god, probably three of the toughest promos that you would have to go against are a team, and they have all the gold. Good luck to everybody on Showdown, and good luck especially to the people in the Grand, whoever comes out of that, to have their hands full.
Definitely. As honestly, I could see this now becoming a thing where it becomes. I wouldn't mind a triple threat tag match. That sounds like a crazy wild battle. The winners of the Grand Prix versus the High Rollers versus the Triumvirate. Forgive me if I butchered that. I can't say it. Forgive me.
I think you got it pretty good. Better than I would have.
Yeah.
Just call them the three scary dudes.
The Main Event Mafia Showdown.
This was another good match to close the show. I mean, everybody got their stuff in. It was... I think it came in right towards the end of this one, because it dipped in and out sometimes with FTVs. But it was a very fun match from what I saw. And I would actually be okay if they had a rematch, like the champions against the challengers. Which one of them actually won the Teerritorial? I'm sorry. It's just that there's so much gold and too many people. But I would like to see that match again, like under different circumstances. Maybe they save it for another. This was a good match, and guys all acquitted themselves well on the promo package. Nobody was a weak link. The big winners, even though they lost, the high rollers, they proved that they could go against anybody and look like a million.
They definitely looked very, very good. Ready to go. I think maybe now, I think it's just a tad too soon to start splitting them up, but I think now the thought has to kind of start forming, like, where do these guys go? Because they really have kind of, you know, yeah.
Now that there hopefully is a tag team with you that sticks around, it'd be great to see them. I mean, because think about what has transpired. You basically had to take two of the better EAW, not just on one brand, but you know, in general, and make them into a unified force to get the tag titles off of them. A lot when me and my partner GI were like unified tag, and basically Jay and Imp teamed up to take the titles off of us. Dominant they were, and they had, and I'm going to be fair and honest, they had much stiffer competition than we did. Like to hold on to the belts, because I mean, people can laugh and make jokes about Haru, but they're both pretty good. I mean, sometimes I wish Haru would get somebody to for your promos, not necessarily because like she's a terrible writer, but just that the language barrier translates as you read it. And Azumi's getting better and better and better, but you know, then you know they've had other defenses too, and they were champions for a while, weren't they? I don't remember the exact time that they were champions, but they've been the title holders for a couple of months at least, haven't they?
I don't recall. If they did, it might have happened while I was gone. I really wasn't reading anything while I was, you know, off. That's definitely a possibility, but I don't specifically remember.
But how do you see the second half of the show? I thought, no, maybe I didn't feel as vested. I give it a 9.5 because the shit was good, but something just, I don't know.
Let's see. As far as the match itself, I liked the No Way Out match. I thought it was kind of odd, though, with the characterization with Cage coming out, and he helps, like, he just randomly decides to help Theron by handing him, like, the barbed wire baseball bat and the keys to break out, when just, like, a week late, before he wanted, like, nothing to do with anybody, and he was just kind of out for himself. Yeah, I think
that may have been just a moment where he's like, and just to stick it to the other three guys, who he may see as more
vassals. Yeah, but like I was saying, I think that's kind of an odd little bit of characterization for him, you know, to show up. I don't necessarily have a problem with who won. I'm just hoping
yeah, if you have a problem with who won, pay attention to promos, you're an idiot who doesn't think the right team won. And that's not to slight bowlers or you know, Dave, but it's just, come on, people.
But definitely the match was good. I liked a lot of it. It had a nice little beat as far as the action. It was pretty good. But overall, for this second night, I felt like, I don't know, it didn't have quite the same smoothness in the match-to-match You know, like there was like it didn't feel quite as like you had the right amount of like cool down and then you're propped up. And
there was really no cool at all, and that's fine to some. You know, like it's a long show, but like if you just like you have a full tank of gas and you put it down and you go 100 miles an hour, you're gonna run that gas down so fast, eventually the vehicle's just gonna stop. And not to say that none of the matches on the second day were bad, nothing like that, but it just kind of kept dragged.
Again, like I said, it just didn't have quite the, you know, where the first day felt a little bit better as far as things like, you know, how one match led to another. You know, you never really felt burnt out, or you never really felt like there was
sorry.
Go ahead.
It's while, you know, kind of kept everything going along, there was nothing quite like that Chris League segment on the second day. I wasn't expecting something
that awesome. So again, liking the No Way Out match, but overall, personally for me, the second day was inferior to the first day. I
think inferior. I didn't mean to cut you off. I think inferior is kind of unfair. Because not to say that you're wrong or anything, but I just think that matches were great. I just wish that there was a little bit more.
Well, as far as pacing, I'll just say I didn't like the pacing. It's not so much that I didn't care as much for the pacing of this pay-per-view, of free-per-view, whatever. Overall, for me personally, I'm gonna give the second day an 8 out of 10, which I think brings the whole the event as a whole to about a 9 for me personally.
I'm pretty much in the David Meltzer fraction stage. I think I gave this a 9.5, and if my math's correct, I gave the first day 10.
Yeah.
So 9.75 out of 10.
Oh, now you're going into Brian territory. It's going to be fun to see what he thinks of all these, and him just assigning stars. He'll probably assign this podcast maybe a 1.5 stars.
Did we have enough time to talk about the Grand Prix and the Empress Elite? I would really like to.
You know, we have enough. We could talk about anything you want. It's not like we have to fit a certain format. You know, on YouTube, I've now gotten past the 1.5 hour mark, so I could talk for as long as you want.
Okay, I know, because like I just think it's kind of cool to have 2 tournaments going at the same time, and also just a random side note: Saturday is my birthday.
Oh shoot, you're well, funny you should mention that, but today is August 29th. Tomorrow is my birthday.
Man,
it's like everybody is born in August, it seems like.
My birthday is the 2nd, so...
September, right.
Yeah.
You're close enough. We'll let you in the club, it's okay. You got that 3-day grace period.
A lot of my friends, like when I was in high school, a lot of them were born in August. You know, late August, early September, like myself, so we kind of bonded over that.
New Year's and Christmas is a very special time for people.
Apparently so. But I am kind of bummed that I don't get to make a guest appearance on Showdown on my birthday.
Well, you'll have something the next day for the hangover on Voltage, I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to redeem past losses.
Well, whatever. Maybe you'll just be knocking people out left and right with that Rosso revolver.
And the main event of that day, Elend, for your insurance is paid. he got Apocalypse. That's the main event. So
yeah.
I just wanted to talk about the Empress of the League. Something that kind of helped get going, and the bracket's out for it, and all the matches could go either way. I think some matches have pretty strong leans to them. I'm not gonna just throw them out, but you see the tournament playing out. Have you seen the bracket?
I'm looking at the front page right now to look over the first day matches. I'm just happy taking it in day by day right now. I know I'll be kind of like waving my little like underdog flag for Savannah Sunshine. Her gimmick is just amazing.
Now, see that match, the one with her and Vex. Now, if the person that wins that match gets momentum behind it and stays, I think they could win.
Definitely. Anything could happen in EAW.
Stretch, I know, and some stuff in previous rounds would have to go their way. Then because I have somewhere.
We should get a bracketology going on this one. Hashtag bracketology Empress of Elite.
See if I can find the bracket real quick, because
well, before we get too far in, is there anything else in particular that you're really looking forward to? Is it day one of the Empress Elite that you're most looking forward to this week, or is there maybe something on, say, Showdown or Dynasty, like perhaps
main event of the Empire, the first round of the tournament, is going to be very, very good, I think. I don't know how the match is going to play out, but I think the person who wins be the favorite. No diss to Kaylin, the defending champ.
Oh man, I mean, there's so many people here in just this first day alone. Just looking at that, you definitely have Cher, who they brought back in a big way. You have Azumi, who's been getting good screen time. You have my personal favorite. I have a soft spot for Savannah. I'll admit it. I'm a mark. You have Lexi. Lexi, you mentioned her. She's doing good work. You have Madison Klein and Caitlin Dillon. You have a lot of talent just on the first day. So it's a very, to me, it's a very, very wide open tournament, and anybody who just kind of runs their race and runs it consistently, and they run it hard, I think that's who's gonna take it. Because we saw just the other day. All it takes is just 1 week for somebody to get sidetracked, and and then now we have a new champion. We have a new National Elite champion. We could see very much an upset in any of these matches here, or in any matches coming up for this entire tournament.
I think it may be in a couple of matches to see upsets, because I don't really see Amy Jane and her match. It's probably going to be tough. Easy and hers. Not that they're bad. I just don't think that they're quite at that level yet where they need to be. Not that they can't get there, but those are some really tough draws for people that are still trying to get accustomed to the Fed.
Let's see.
Just something else. I don't know if everybody knows, but this is a different format this year. It's single elimination.
Now that's interesting. I'm wondering why we kind of made that move. I mean, it was always nice to kind of have that sort of like, okay, King of Elite is a single elimination, Empress of Elite is this round robin, with the block styles, and it was always nice to have that little contrast between the two tournaments. I'm wondering why they made that switch.
I think we made the switch because the block, it was just too draining on the writers. It was just too much. and you'd have to do math, and you have to book.
Math is definitely in the axis of evil. Hashtag Saturday Night Live.
But I think this way, it makes a sense of urgency, but it also takes away an element that I liked old round robin style, because in that, I'm going to use the first one as an example because I still have the records for it. I'm just looking to see. There was upsets that you could look forward to, or at least have an opportunity to see. I mean, because had to recover in her group when he had an upset loss that nobody saw coming. Like, I remember because I booked it and people saw what happened. Like, what the fuck are you thinking, basically, to me? So, takes away that element. Plus, last year, you had the defending women's champion, or I think it was still Vixens at the time, but HBG lost her first match of the tournament.
Okay.
And use that, I think, when you go to single elimination, because now I don't really have the opportunities that, to prize people or do something that would really shock it. Like, you can't have like time limit draws and stuff.
Okay.
Just have to have a winner and loser. But I think it takes a little bit of the creativity out of it. It takes a little bit of the element of surprise out of it. But it is a shit ton easier on the writers and the people involved.
It's definitely a switch. Again, I'm not exactly a guy who always likes to switch things up, but
just to be fair to Eclipse, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to be fair to him, because I know he's running. But this is the second time that the format's changed. ED changed it from the format I ran the first year, and Eclipse has changed the format previous year. And also the Empire Cup, that was the Vixens Cup, the format of it changed because it was a single elimination tournament, I think 2 years ago, and this year they changed.
Are you still with us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
The bit where I was telling about the Grand Rampage for the Empire Cup.
Okay. I don't think we. The format, because it was originally a single 2-day tournament. Now it's a Grand Rampage, so the format of all this stuff is constantly changing and evolving, and eventually. Well, I guess we'll kind of eventually just kind of settle on the on that old what do they call it, the Team Championship Series or whatever it was back in the old AWA. All those gimmick matches.
Nothing that convoluted. Nothing that convoluted. That was ridiculous. I would watch some of those reruns, like on ESPN Classic, and I'm like, is this? How do you determine a winner? Why does it take so long?
Because everybody was leaving the company and they had no definitive time.
Because, boy, that was like in 90, wasn't it? 89?
I forget the year, but I just, I'm just expecting a 1 year that it's just going to be a bunch of gimmick matches. Or at least a tournament in EAW where it's nothing but gimmick matches. Which honestly doesn't sound too bad. Like, maybe we could also tie that into, like, a few months ago they had this rumored, like, extreme answers reunion kind of thing. Go ahead.
I'm really happy that the tournament's kicking off. And you got a couple of first round matches for the tag Grand Prix too, I think.
Yeah, it looks. it looks like for the tag Grand Prix we have Cameron and HBG versus Azrael and Ryan Wilson on Dynasty. On Showdown, we'll see We Are the Bollocks versus Kaiju. That's Mongoose McQueen and Nobi. And then on
weird pairing. That's a weird pairing to me. Like, I think they're friends and everything. I know both of them. I've known Nobi for like a long time. I just think it's kind of weird that they have like the face and heel teaming.
Well then it's really going to be odd when Shaker Jones and Cody Marshall, Country Strong, take on Eclipse Demos and Alexis Demos.
I love that team just because it's so redneck and racist. I mean, but they got handed a pretty tough draw with being the best, one of the best, tandems in the EAW. Being that you could go against the draw that's going to be tough.
Interestingly, and okay, go ahead.
Hope that We Are the Bollocks goes pretty far, and no diss to the team they're going against. Just it's a word in modern times. Like you'd have to go to overseas for that. It's just funny to me that they made that their name. We are the shit.
I let live and let live. I mean, especially if it makes them happy, if that's what they want to call themselves, that's their choice. What I find really interesting is that Heartbreak Girl is booked both on Friday and Saturday. On Friday, she'll have the first round of the Grand Prix, but she'll also on Saturday be going up against Lannister and it's an Extreme Elimination qualifier match.
I really hope that the people that they're going against, even though they're brand new, I don't expect them to win, but I hope what is that HBG goes into that match on Showdown selling something. Like she's hurt or just a little fatigued because of travel or some random shit like that.
That's going to kind of be something that needs to be, I guess, hashed out between the writers, depending on who's going to sell what. It's hard to, work an arm one day and then sell the knee the next. Get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I just hope that there's some kind of, communication there to where they have something like that. I think that would be a nice little piece of realism in a fan that sometimes lacks it.
So, yeah,
I think the Grand Prix is going to be fun this year.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to get into it, but it should be fun.
I'm just surprised that neither one of L. Anderson's teams got put through.
Oh, dude, I'm shocked too.
But
I want to see Aria L. Anderson tag team.
Well, apparently not Aria. she did.
I don't think she was amused by that. Oh, how could I forget? There's another big main event match on the week. Tyler against Saint Anger.
Wow.
That's a hell of a way to go back to Dynasty. Hey, there's Saint Anger.
Shoot. I'll tell you what I'm actually looking a little bit more forward to. It's on Sunday night we're going to have Mr. DDD address, he'll be on Voltage and addressing the Chris Elite dilemma. That sounds like an interesting segment. I really am excited to see how they'll build off of everything that happened this past weekend. See the direction they're going to take it on with. Will DDD just say, he got what he deserved and that's going to be it? Or will he say, I'm not going to leave this the way it is, I'm going to beat him and then fire him, or some shit like that? Also, will we see Kenny Drake in the background again? It's those are all questions.
Almost certainly going to. I'm looking over the card to make sure we haven't forgiven anything that really stands out. Versus AREN is going to be good.
Who's versus AREN?
Arcane.
Oh, Darkane. Yeah, that's definitely one to watch, especially in the promo department. Yeah.
Arcane is a machine. I didn't even have the promo for the 24/7. You know, I just happened to hit it. I'm just looking through all the promos as I'm, getting ready to, do
the Divide and Conquer. That match was yeah, that one, right?
That was Divide and Conquer for Pain for Pride,
or because you were talking about the 24/7, right?
Was, oh my god, just like the dude, like he never sleeps. It's like he just promos and then just disappears for a minute, and the moment somebody else promo, he promos back. It was something to watch.
Interestingly enough, also on Dynasty, time-honored tradition for House of Glass will be announced, and the prizes at stake will be revealed to all. I'm hoping this means another Glass Gauntlet. I really loved being a part of the first one. I thought it was one of the, it's such a special match to me. It was my FPV debut, and it had some of the best workers on the promo page in it, and it was just this great match that was really built up really well by everybody who contributes. If everybody's active for a Glass Gauntlet, and if they put a bunch of guys in there, you're gonna get a good match. That's just my opinion. I'm hoping that's gonna be revealed. Then we also have some stuff with John Doe. We have the High Rollers discussing their loss.
The High Rollers should get a rematch at some point. Definitely. I would have liked to maybe seen them thrown in the tournament. I don't know if they are. I haven't seen the bracket. See.
Well, they weren't signed up. Huh?
I don't know if they feel that one.
I doubt that they got thrown in. I really doubt it. If they have, then they... Huh?
I think I lost you.
Yeah, okay. Like I was saying, I don't think that they... that the High Rollers got thrown out there. They, got put in to the tournament.
You know how sometimes, you have... I know this happens in New Japan a lot. Somebody will lose a title and they don't get the immediate rematch. They have to go earn it. Act like that. So
I kind of want to see it go the other way. I want them to get the immediate rematch, because then the winner of that goes on to face the winner of the tag Grand Prix.
And do have to. I'm kind of curious about the Empress of the League, because wonder if we're going to do the fixed challenge thing, have a set date where you get your title match, or if it's going to be something that you can cash in like King of the League. I think that the tradition's been that you have a certain date. And, I'm just going to have to see.
I think it would be best if we all kind of read Empire and all the shows, honestly, this week, because there's a lot of fallout from Territorial Invasion, and there's so much stuff that's going on that's going to have a big impact.
Way too much stuff to follow, to check on. But I think that both of the tournaments coming up, it's like tournament season. I think both of the tournaments are going to be really, really fun this year.
Definitely a great time for EAW, especially what it could all lead to. Anything else that you wanted to discuss, or any last comments for this episode?
Let's see. I just wanted to make sure I gave AREN his proper due. Like, I'm really kind of disappointed to see that he's, leaving. Not because I'm mad at him or anything, but, really think that he's one of the best voltage. It kind of sucks to see him go. I'm happy to have BRODY back, though. That's great, and I'm hoping that the Empress of Elite lives up to the expectations that I have for it, and those expectations are high. And God save you.
Yeah, God help anybody against. well, really anybody who goes against any of the top packs. God help you. God help you if you're against the triple threat of Lannister and Ares and Tiberius and even Jay Walker, because he's always in the background playing Rick Rude now. Yeah, yep. He's now we got the Apocalypse, being in the main event of Voltage. We have BRODY back, and that's only making the Sanatorium stronger. We have and we still have people like Scott Oasis and Darkane. We have all these different people on Dynasty, and Eclipse Demos, himself. He'll definitely be looking for something, and Nico Borg will probably be in the background there too.
But I'm just happy that I stuck around, because there was a point, I don't think of exactly where it was, but towards the beginning of this year, where I was really close to just leaving, because I kind of lost. I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of frustrated with it, because it was kind of like when the consoles come out, you have to work out all the bugs, and those bugs are a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Frustrating. I was thinking people didn't know it was bland, and I'm glad I stuck it out and kept going, because now I have all this fun stuff to do on Empire and Voltage.
Definitely. So, and both shows are honestly better for having you, man. And just like this show was I'm sure is better for having you on. Thank you again so much for being here, joining with us, especially when I understand that the storm isn't too rough where you're at, but it's still kind of scary when you see the effects of what it could do. Everybody kind of keep your eyes peeled and make sure that you at least follow the link that Carlos is going to post.
And one thing, I'm pretty sure people are probably going to check it out before, long, but I'm also going to be posting something for the Empress Elite on the EFED zone. It's going to be wild. You probably want to check it out. It's going to be pretty funny.
All right. I definitely keep your eyes open for everything, guys. This is a big week in EAW, and don't miss a thing. That's all I'm going to say. If you have to play Aerosmith all day, don't miss a thing. Okay?
All right.
Any last?
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you for having me on, and glad that somebody's doing podcasts, because it's always fun to hear different opinions and stories that people have, takes. Nobody's got the shovels out on here. Has anybody got the burying people? In that podcast. Don't bury us. People being nice.
Generally, we're all nice. Every once in a while, we'll say something that maybe might rub somebody the wrong way, but we never. I think we always try to keep it here at in the sense of honest, while trying to be I've been on podcasts before where
people have gotten upset about stuff that was said. So I'm just making sure that nobody got upset today.
Well, if they've gotten upset, they haven't told me. So it's either indifference or ignorance. I can't tell the difference at this point. But you know, I think it's because we're not trying to bury anybody, and I said that from the first episode. We're not trying to, you know, we're not trying to bury anybody. We're not trying to disrespect.
That's Scott Oasis. Scott Oasis, we get buried.
Even Scott Oasis, I'll even Scott Oasis, because you know the brother, that guy has been awesome to me. Even though I mean honestly, he was supposed to be on you know just a few days ago on the last episode, and but he couldn't do it. Stuff came up, but he was nice enough to actually find somebody. He was nice enough to kind of get in contact with the area, and that was super awesome of him. So even Scott Oasis, you know, much love to him. You know, much love, and like everybody.
I talk shit about Scott. He's cool.
Yeah.
I just like making fun of
steroid
issues.
Yeah, so much love to everybody here on in EAW. Thank you for giving us, you know, your time each and every week. Thank you for checking out all those links. Thank you for all the listens, all the likes. If you guys want to comment, if you guys like what we've done today, let us know. If you like more of what we were doing before with like the one-on-one interviews, tell us. This is a show that you guys could so totally shape and mold. You just gotta let us know. You were about to say something, Carlos?
Said I would like to come back at another time, like after you've kind of run the gauntlet a little bit further. I wouldn't mind have like a little bit less, because this is pretty massive. You know, you have 4 shows within one of the big 4. This past weekend, and then you have 2 tournaments coming up. So yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully we could do just a simple preview with you. But yeah, I'd love to have you back. I'd love to talk, you know, and get to know who Carlos and April Song are, you know, and how they came about. But that's a show for another time. Till that time, thank you everybody on behalf of Carlos Rosso. I am Showster26. This has been the EAW podcast. We'll catch you next time, because we are